here's Archer. The Pseudobond is ready to basically take over the universe. And this is before Star Trek ever began. This is in the first year. And Archer's going to do something very bold. Otherwise, eternity is going to be altered. And then September 23rd, 17 wouldn't happen. And then Christ wouldn't come back theoretically. So he God. You know what sneezing means? Yeah, look. Why don't you figure out why they used to say God bless you? So Archer does what has to be done, basically. And Trump, you have to do what you have to do. You have to drop some H-bombs. You know, just don't drop them in America. You know, drop them, drop them, I don't know, by the fat man. You know what I mean? Just level the country. I mean, all these people are all for destroying America. Are we just going to let them? Hell no. A man with balls. I mean a real man. One that doesn't sew. And I'm sure Trump, you don't sew. You have Melania do that. That was a joke, okay? Anyway, she doesn't sew, I'm sure, either. She's a beautiful woman. Why would she have to? Anyway, just drop the bombs. I'm all for it. I know it's anti-left wing, whatever, but I mean, what's left? I mean, Hillary, really? Hillary's what's left. Oh, you want to be like Hillary? Hillary? Billary? Server? I mean, do you want to get $225,000 for talking to Goldman Sachs? Which is basically just a payoff. That's all it is. Do something in America that benefits Goldman Sachs. That's all it is. Everybody knows that. You don't need Ralph Nader to say it. Who the hell cares what the former Secretary of State says? I mean, really, who cares? And I want to know why she still has security clearance. You need to cut her down, you know what I mean? Just stop her. I mean, she doesn't need to know any information. She's probably giving it to the Chinese. These Bilderberg one world government people, they're selling us out. They don't give one shit about America. And when we drop a bomb, H-bomb on North Korea, then we're telling the Chinese, get out of the way. You have been supporting nuclear weapons in Iran and in North Korea, and they're going to nuke us, and we're not supporting you guys anymore. And then we need to not support China anymore. I mean, stop eating at Chinese restaurants, people. They are poisoning you. I had a friend that worked at a local Chinese restaurant, and do you know what they use for sweetener? Antifreeze. That is deadly toxic. And I'll tell you, the inspectors, they never go into those restaurants. You know, when I lived in the Midwest, I knew a volunteer fireman, and he went into my favorite Chinese restaurant, found 60 cats in the freezer when there was a fire. And his boss said he can't put those on the internet, so I know someone that did. I'm not sure it was seen much, but I'm not sure. But we're at a crossroads, you know, I mean, and in light of September 23rd, I mean, 2017, I mean, that, you know, I talked with a pastor last night, and he's of the John MacArthur type, and there's nothing wrong with those pastors, you know, if you just want to be put to sleep, you know. They're not really preaching true Christianity. They'll tell you what happened in the Old Testament and New Testament. They know all the stories. You know, they have the passion for propagating their businesses, but they're, you know, the true Christian, you know, soul-winning. It's not found in John MacArthur. I mean, he's a good guy, but I mean, if he was a true Christian, would he be worth $2.5 million? Joyce Meyer, she's probably worth $25 million. She has tons of big homes. I mean, Joel Osteen. Come on. I knew John Osteen. He was a preacher. Joel, he's an encourager. He's not a preacher. He's a motivator. Like Brett Gibbons or Robbins or whatever his name is. Tony Robbins. Oh, people, do you not get it? 2 big hurricanes in 1 week. Do you not get it? These are just the birth pangs. God's just giving you a little warning here. Things are about to get shit bad. He's warning you. In Isaiah, he said, I invent disaster. Why don't you Google that? You'll see it's in the Bible. I didn't invent it. Then he says, hey, I am the blacksmith. Therefore, no weapon formed against you shall prosper. He's talking about God's chosen people. He's not talking about the average person. I mean, America has aborted 65 million plus. They say about 67 now. 67 million babies. If that's wrong, and I believe it is, do you think God's not angry about it? Do you think he's just going to give you a pass? Oh, it's okay to rip the baby's head off. I watched a DNC when I was 18. I was a volunteer at a hospital. And I watched a DNC at a Catholic hospital, unnamed one. It was in Canada. I'm partial Canadian, I guess. And I watched the DNC, and the baby popped on the ground, hit the floor instead of the bucket. And he didn't have a head, and he didn't have a right arm. And there was blood squirting everywhere. His heart was beating. Body was burned from saline. And then they used forceps and ripped off some appendages. And I'll never stop thinking about that on a daily basis. I think about that, and I get so angry inside. And me just being a human being, I'm so incapable of true emotion, other than this stupid human emotion. I can't fathom what God thinks. I mean, if he truly made us, which he did, remember there's, Darwin's evolution book basically said if you could ever look into the cell and see that it was complex, then my theory's invalid. I mean, Darwinism, creation, diametrically opposed. I mean, creationism explains everything. I mean, there's 4,500 chemical reactions in the human body. The odds of that happening are like 10 to the 800th power. It's even more than that. It's like a quarter stacked on top of each other all the way from Earth to the moon. Well, what are the odds? 10 to the 800th power. Anything beyond 10 to 80th power is improbable. Impossible, actually, by own statistical method theories. So that's just one being on this earth. They just found some like dragonfish, down in Texas on the bank. I mean, there's just millions of species. So what's the chance of that all evolving without any missing links? Zip. Everybody knows that. Evolution is just an attempt to say there's no God from the devil, but trust me, there is a God. You will understand soon. I mean, if we allow North Korea to continue, they're going to take out California, which does not bother me one bit. You got all these federal judges combating Trump and saying we don't give a crap about federal law, basically, and they're just propagating their own political agenda and being allowed to do that. If North Korea wants to take out the West Coast, that's perfectly fine with me. I won't. Let me tell you, I won't be joining the services and defending Californicators. I won't. I went out there once in my lifetime. I smelled so much pot and so much shit from people. Oh my God, I couldn't even believe what they were doing. I stayed with a buddy, and his next door neighbors, they were fornicators, and they were just fornicating all the time. And he had a poop factory because he had to smell their shit. So he went and bought manure and then wet it down and then put a fan and blew it back at him. And then they'd shut the door so he didn't have to smell the pot. He was growing vegetables in his little balcony, and he was worried about the pot content. So, which, I would have been too. So he took care of it with shit, It's a great solution. And it's legal. And there's nothing anybody can do about it. I mean, be legal, people. But Trump, let's drop some H-bombs. I mean, I hate to kill people, but, I mean, this guy is a madman. He's got Satan inside of him. Actually, truth be told, he's probably got 3 or 4 Satans. He's big, morbidly obese person. And, I mean, you could nuke them, or you could, cut off the American cheese from Wisconsin. I think he's starting to lose weight because I think the embargo cuts down on the Wisconsin cheese. Because he's a cheesehead, he loves to eat cheese. But Trump, whatever you do, nobody full support. But we got to do something with this madman because he's going to start blasting South Korea. He's a crazy man. He just doesn't get it. They say he's got an 8th grade education, maybe a 7. So, I mean, he doesn't even know what nuclear means. So if we drop some nukes on him, at least he'd know what it is. That's a good education. Some hydrogen bombs. I mean, we want to keep all those rare minerals there safe so we can move in and take them so we can still build F-35s and aircraft carriers and lithium batteries, My wife's got a plug-in Prius, God knows, I hate the thing, but we need more lithium, and all those rare earth minerals come from North Korea. I mean, that's why China wants it. That's why Russia wants it. So, actually, I think they're just waiting for the United States to nuke them just so they can move in and take that shit. So, and Ralph Nader's being awfully quiet. He's so obsessed about the Dodge Demon that he really can't speak on political things anymore, and he's turned out so political. And he was all along. We just didn't realize it. But he can't get his head out of his butt. I mean, he's just so stuck on that Dodge Demon. He still drives like a Honda Insight, and so that's like what is it, 42 horsepower or something like that. So he heard about the Dodge Demon, which is basically 840 horsepower. So it's like 2,000,000% more horsepower. He just gets all wigged out. So. Ralph Nader, I no disrespect, but I'll buy you a bottle of Geritol if you send me your email address. I'll mail, or your home address. I'll mail you some Geritol. Then you can get strong enough, and then you don't have to criticize the American muscle car industry. Because I've got my money down on a Hellfire Demon. It's going to be hot. And I'm going to have mine modified because 840 horsepower is not enough. I think I need about 1,600 horsepower because I'm going to drag it. I'm going to put artificial fenders on it. No one's going to know it's a Demon because the Demon's been banned by the National Hot Rod Association of America. I'm not sure why. I mean, it's like genuine Mopar. I mean, what are they going to are they going to let a rice burner in there or something? Or, I think they all turn limp. You know what I mean? Lost their edge. So Trump, give her hell today. Remember the world's ending probably, I would think, September 23rd or thereabouts, because that's when all the Revelation 12, all that stuff. I guess you guys know that, right? No. But peace to weeks. When you hear the whole story, you understand. So Trump, I'm in full support. Just, give her hell, eh?